on May 6, 2025.
Motion is in order. It's been moved in support. Are we using our tablets?
Yes, we have a motion by Commissioner Baidoon and support Commissioner Anderson. Please vote.
Chair votes yes.
Motion carried.
Next item.
D, unfinished business. There is none listed. Under new business, we are going to move to item 4, requesting commission approval of retroactive amendment 1 to a 1-year comparable source professional services contract with a 1-year option to renew with Universal Protection Service, LLC, DBA Allied Universal Security, to provide supplemental armed and unarmed security services at various county facilities.
Who's here to speak to this? Okay, just join us around the table if you. Okay, Judge, you have a seat. Please state your names for the record.
Chief Judge, Wayne County Circuit Court.
Hi, Brian Reinhardt, Chief of Staff to Wayne County Executive Warren Evans.
Good morning, Robert Dunlap, Chief of the Wayne County Sheriff's Office, Jails and Courts.
Good morning, Rob Whittigan, Chief Strategy Officer, Wayne County.
Good morning, Sue Hammoud, Deputy Corporation Counsel.
Okay, who will lead off?
I could take the honors. And good afternoon. Thank you for having us. So we're here today to talk about a 1-year extension of the Allied Security contract that is currently in place. This would be a 1-year renewal. And we are asking this body to approve to go forward this 1-year extension of no reduction in staffing to the Allied Security folks that are there now. In essence, this 1-year period would be used for the Sheriff's Office to launch a robust campaign to certify as many officers as possible. As a reminder for the commissioners that the work being done at the courthouse requires that of a certified MCOLS licensed police officer. It cannot be done by a non-sworn deputy. So the Sheriff's Office would launch a robust campaign to get as many certified officers as they can in this 1-year time. We know we brought the Chief Judge. We're graced with her presence so we can explain the court's position. But that is our position. It would be a 1-year extension. There'd be no reduction in staffing to the Allied. And then all parties would agree in 1 year's time that if we need to extend further for a staff augmentation perspective, that the Sheriff's Office, the Executive's Office, the union, and the court would convene and decide if that's necessary.
Thank you for your presentation. At this time, commissioners, do you have any questions? Okay, Commissioner Baker McCormick. And then Commissioner Maracki. Any other questions? Then Commissioner Anderson and the Commissioner Baidoon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we were here last year with the same contract, and we want, of course, everyone to be safe. And so we approved the contract last year, and we had a lot of discussion around this contract. And one of the questions that I have and want to make sure that we have already looked into and spoke to was the union and the current employees. How do they feel? Where are they on this contract, the extension of it?
Yep. So I can go first. I spoke with the president of POAM this morning, or president of the local, Corporal Cox, and he understands our position. There was no immediate, he didn't oppose anything. I assure you they want those positions, right? I don't want to misrepresent that the union is okay with this, but they understand our position. This is a public safety concern, and I did not receive any major opposition. Again, they just asked that they're at the table if we have to do another extension.
Okay, great. And do you know if last year the union talked about a program that they were wanting to implement, to hire, to help with hiring? do you know where that went or if they?
This was a proposal on behalf of the union, Commissioner?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not familiar with that a year ago. I do know of a recent proposal that they graciously came forward, and we are working back and forth to try to establish an MOU that would allow at their offering, some of their non-certified police officers or union members to do some of this work. But that's a recent proposal that we've only had for about 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, they came to us. I don't know if you guys remember that, and they said some type of program that would help with hiring. But if you don't remember, then that's fine. I just wanted to make sure that they were in the loop and that this is not going to be a surprise to them. Thank
It's
you.
not going to be to
Thank
their
you.
liking, but, yes.
Okay, Commissioner Marecki, then Commissioner Anderson, and then Commissioner Baydoun.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So 2 questions. How is the company working out? Oh, and I was going to get to you as well. So I don't know who answers that, but I do want to hear from the chief
Steve
judge
Judge would be
on,
the end user.
on you're here for a reason, so I'd like to hear from you.
Yes, so Wayne County Circuit Court, as you well know, is the largest court in the state and the busiest court in the state, and we're super concerned about security issues for the litigants as well as for the judges. But we are very cooperative partners with the sheriff as well as with the county in implementing the security that is available. We can't stand in and change things, increase the workforce on our own accord, of course. We're separate, but I do have with me our security director, Jan Hiller, and she's worked very closely with the sheriffs and also with Allied and interacting with each other and helping to train Allied and to get them up to speed to be the appropriate security for on a temporary basis. So we are, positive about what we see on the efforts. But of course, we would like to have the finest security we can possibly have with sheriffs eventually.
Okay, anything else?
No, it's been, as you would imagine, a challenge. So at the very beginning, you have Allied and you have judges who are used to having a sheriff's deputy that's permanently assigned to them, that has their back, that they're familiar with. And so a lot of the judges were complaining. Some of the judges, especially in the domestic division where they they have a lot of pro se litigants and a lot of animosity between people, were actually afraid to come to work, not coming to work, wanting to work remotely. And we want to have open courtroom doors. We want to be of service to the public. So we don't like that, and we wanted to make the situation better. I think both the Sheriff's Department and Allied has stepped in to ensure that there is a sheriff's deputy on every floor in KMAC. There's 2 sheriff's deputies in every courtroom at the criminal building, which is necessary and required, and that everybody's working together to make the judges as well as the litigants feel safe and be safe. So that's all I can tell you.
Thank you. So, and then you mentioned a deal that's been talked about non-certified people working. Would that even be a possibility?
It is. It is. Yeah. We
What
would
does
take,
that mean, then, non-certified?
yeah. So traditionally what happens in the criminal courthouse now, I don't know if I should put all this on the,
Oh, if you don't, yeah.
there's ability to utilize non-sworn officers in that space safely and still effectively perform the duties of a police officer. So those are being considered at this time. However, that we have not met the threshold. In theory, if you could have non-sworn officers perform some of the functions that are currently happening in the criminal court, that could free up some of the personnel that is certified to go to the civil complexes. But again, that is a work in progress, and I don't want to represent that we have a deal.
Sure.
But it would help this process. It would not completely, there's just not enough time or not enough of the personnel to do it completely. It might sort of, after 6 months, we could review this potentially and make some changes.
Okay, and just one last question, because there has been the last couple of years a real push on hiring sheriffs. So what's going to make this year coming up different than last year?
Yeah, that's correct. We need to go to the chief or Rob Whittigan, our chief strategy officer, but we're really proud of the numbers here.
Yeah, through the chair, Robert Dunlap, Chief of Sheriff's Office. So as Chief of Staff Ryan Hart indicated, and thanks to our chief judge, we are working together very collaboratively and cooperatively. And to that end, I'm proud to tell you that we have had the largest graduating jailers class since I've been here, now going on 15 years. We graduated 34 2 weeks ago, and we're set to put at least another 34 in jailers training on June 2nd. And so the numbers are picking up. There's been a very, very robust effort on the part of Sheriff Washington, the current county executive, and their staff, as well as the support of this commission to ramp up recruiting. And because of those efforts, we're now starting to realize that our numbers are picking up. We still have the issue with attrition. However, I do believe out of the 34 that recently graduated, we netted approximately 24 when you compared to 20 when you compare it against the attrition. So we're going in a positive direction.
Great, thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, Commissioner Anderson and then Commissioner Baydun.
That was pretty much the same thing I was going to ask about the recruitment and how it's going compared to previous years. Did you?
I would just add, we have been measuring, we have this dashboard where we measure how hiring is going in the sheriff's office. We work with the sheriff's department to get numbers and measure it. When we started, it took approximately 144 days to get a candidate that applied through the background investigation. Today, because of the work the sheriff's office done, it's down to approximately 40 days. So the improvements over the year has been staggering. And to the chief's point, the largest jailers training class, and I believe approximately 34 coming up June
If not
2nd.
more.
If
Yes.
not more. So big difference.
How
Great
about
to hear.
how about the recruitment efforts on the outside? Are you doing something different now, or is there something different that you can do to increase those numbers? Because I'm not sure if I've seen anything recently about recruiting at Schoolcraft, for instance, and in some of the other universities or colleges.
Yeah, I can speak to that. I'm not in charge of recruiting, but I'm sure all of you have probably heard Sheriff Washington on the radio recently. So we have radio announcements as well as advertising around Wayne County. Also, we have several officers who are weekend soldiers. They are in the military reserve. And I can tell you over the last 6 months, one officer in particular who was assigned to the jail, I've allowed him to be assigned out every month where they're in front of at least 200 to 300 soldiers. And I do believe that we're starting to see some benefit from that.
Good. And to the chief judge, could you explain what the concern is among the judges? Is it the fact that they don't have the same security person there that they're used to talking to and dealing with? And is there some way to rectify that? Is there by assigning them to a particular court or rotation that the judges are comfortable with?
Absolutely, yes. So the difficulty was that in the past, when you had a deputy, for instance, I had a deputy for, 5 years, the same person, they know everyone on the staff. They know how people are going to react. They see the courtrooms and they're very adept at making us all feel secure. And when we first started with Allied, it wasn't quite the case because they kind of had a rotation because people were learning on the job and going to different courtrooms and different assignments so that they would be, in their training. And it was very difficult for the judges, an unfamiliar way to work and not feeling as safe. And we were also going through the COVID transition where we had lost a lot of employees, the sheriff's department, everyone lost employees. We were short of a workforce and dealing with a lot of tension in that a lot of people like to be remote. They don't want to come in. So sometimes the deputies around, why don't I stay home? But really, it's not a good face of the court. We are public servants and we want our courtroom doors to be open and we want to serve the best of our can add more, but I really think that the Sheriff's Department has been partnering with Allied in sharing what made it work with them. Instead of, at the beginning, I think it was kind of a little bit of an animosity that, you know, the union and the sheriff's feet on the ground kind of people were feeling a little bit put upon that they had Allied there. But in recognizing that I think makes them safer themselves and more able to do their job while they increase their workforce, I've seen them work closer together to the benefit of the court. So as of this time, I do have, you know, an order of the court that we are requiring an increase in sheriff's deputies every month, and that we would hold them to that. And if there are security risks that are recognized in our court, we would take action. But right now, I see some improvement in our security. And so we don't intend to take action unless absolutely necessary.
So you don't think it's necessary to assign those or try to push for the assignment of the same person from Allied to the particular courtroom?
I do think it is. I do think that it is preferable, and I do think that it's been increased. Is that true?
Yes, that's true. So I'm Jan Hillary, the security director. So,
Jan?
sorry. In the beginning, it was a little, it was a little rough, but now, fast forward, we're doing very well. Thanks, chief. So right now, thank you, sir. So, right now, actually, the judges do have an Allied officer assigned to their courtroom every day. And I've heard no complaints. Things are running smoothly. And, as far as the court, we're very satisfied with the way Allied is running right now. We have meetings with the chief and his staff every other week. In fact, we probably talk a lot every single day. So we are all, I think, Chief, you can even admit, we're a
agree.
good team. I mean,
Yes.
we've got Allied, we've got the sheriff's office. We're all working together.
So
And-
the Allied officers are the same ones are going to be reporting to each courtroom on a
Every-
regular basis?
Yes, sir.
Not
Yes.
Not rotating them all over the.
No,
building.
no. I mean, if there's a vacation, of course, and an absence, someone else will go in there. But for the most part, since when? It's probably been,
Couple months.
yeah, well, I would say, yeah,
If I'm,
Yeah.
so that's the
Yeah.
goal.
Yes.
Good.
right,
better.
right. So they have a familiarity with that one officer.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Commissioner Baydoun and then Commissioner Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Chief Judge, for your valuable input. That makes me feel very comfortable, and the Director of Security as well. And I just have a quick question. Somebody mentioned that in the criminal division, you could have non-certified officers. Did I understand correctly?
So I think what Chief Reinhardt was trying to share with you, we're still working on that. There, in other courts throughout Michigan, they do have non-MCOs certified officers who are sworn in by the sheriff. They are, put through a firearms qualification to make sure that they know how to properly use their weapons. But there are positions in the criminal court where at least one of the officers should not be armed when they're transporting inmates in the lockup. And so we're working that out. Maybe there's a possibility going forward to add additional people who could be added to the criminal court, and that is connected to the ability to maybe take some of the officers at the CJC and deploy them to, say, KMAC and Penobscot. And the chief judge could maybe eventually have back that one officer that she's had for 7 or 8 years. But to her credit, she has offered us, look, until we get up to staffing, everyone will deal with the professional officer that we assign to them.
Chief, how many officers are assigned to the criminal division and how many to the other divisions?
So one of the things that I never like to do is put out the total number of officers because
Okay.
this is a public record.
Sure, of
And we
course.
definitely don't want the
Understood,
public to
understood.
know.
Okay.
But I can say this, per
Adequate.
the judge's order, we are making sure at minimum, every criminal courtroom has 2 officers in addition to the support person that monitors the hallways. And we also have coverage in the Lincoln Hall of Justice, the Penobscot Building, and KMAC. The exact numbers respectfully,
Sure.
thank you.
Understood, understood. Obviously, public service, public safety is paramount here, and hopefully this would be a temporary situation just for another year.
That is certainly the goal, and it is our sincere hope that recruiting remains as is going, and we're cautiously optimistic that with these kind of numbers, hopefully some of the allied folks will eventually apply to become sheriff's deputies, because we agree with Chief Rizard. There is no better officer to secure the court than a Wayne County Sheriff's deputy, and I'm proud to say that.
Thank you for your input. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Wilson, then Commissioner Clemente.
Thank you, Chairman Kinlock. Obviously, when you're coming last, all the questions have been asked, right? Like everything I've got jotted down here on my bullet points, I think you asked. So just as an overarching issue, myself as a longstanding UAW member, obviously, come out of the UAW, and apparently and invariably, I'm a strong labor advocate. And I know the value of adding labor individuals to your workforce. Having said that, obviously you talked about your concerns with public safety. And again, from personal experience, dealing with the big 3, when they bring in long-term temporary part-time folks, long-term supplemental, the union had to take a back seat for production, for jobs, for security. So I say all that to say this. I think I've heard you say, a young man, you talked about the individuals that you were trying to recruit. I think you may have mentioned that, Chief. So my question, I guess, is what appears to be the impediment? There was a year previously that we had a window to hire more folks and get more folks into the courtrooms. I understand Commissioner Bading talked about criminal court versus civil court. You excellently explained why that was an issue. So is it lack of qualified individuals? Is it lack of interest? Or is it lack of finance? What would you think would be the most robust impediment that are prohibiting individuals from backfilling these spots that are open or these vacancies that are current in terms of protecting the judges and our folks that are in the courtrooms?
So I think initially it was a little bit of all of the above. And to the credit of Sheriff Washington, our county executive, again, this commission and the courts, a lot of those obstacles have been overcome with regards to an increase in pay, the boosting up the recruitment efforts. Frankly, our recruitment team did not look a year ago like it looks today. And so because of that, I think we're starting to overcome a lot of those obstacles. I will tell you this, that if any one of you Google, Gronk, or Bard AI and ask what is the #1 challenge for law enforcement agencies today, the #1 challenge is still recruitment and retention across not just this country, the world. And unfortunately, the Wayne County Sheriff's Office is not immune to that. However, because of this teamwork that the security director, Jan Hiller, talked about, I believe we're starting to communicate better together. And as a result of that, a lot of the noise that was there a year ago no longer exists. And we're starting to see positive results from those efforts.
Thank you, Chief. Excellent response.
Thank you. Commissioner Clemente.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you all for being here. So I heard that we have jailers, that we're increasing the jailers, but isn't it a different step to be a deputy in the courtroom? And can you tell me how maybe we're looking at that to increase that, please?
Yes, and so through the chair, again, with the support of the CEO, Chief Judge Fazard, we just recently did something that hadn't been done in a long time. We sent out a communication to every employee in the Wayne County Sheriff's Office. If you have 1 day on the job, if we get to your name, you're eligible to go to the police academy. Right now, we've been putting an average of about 10 to 12 through the police academy each year. We have agreed to at least double that, to put maybe 24 to 30 every year, because we definitely need the guns. You need guns for not just the court, but one of the things that I think often gets overlooked, we have officers assigned to the treasurer's office at 400 Monroe, at the clerk's office. And unfortunately, right now, without the support of this contract, I'd have to shut down all of those positions, as well as I have about 8 to 10 officers every day deployed to hospitals and nursing homes. And when you do the shift relief factor for that, I would basically have to shut down the jail and lock inmates down in order to staff all of those positions and the courts. So we're excited about the recruiting efforts, as well as the cooperation, which we believe is going to allow us the ability to, instead of putting 6 in the next class, police academy, maybe 12 or 15.
Thank you. Any additional questions? Commissioner Baker McCormick and then Commissioner Marecki.
Thank you. Just one more follow-up question in reference to Allied, the current staff members that we have any of them actually went through the program to become a sheriff? Were they one of the 34? I guess that's what I'm asking. Any?
Oh, that's a good question. Unfortunately, I don't know the exact answer right now, but I do believe I did hear maybe 1 or 2 came over on the part-time side. But like Commissioner Wilson, I'm UAW raised too. And so we agree with POEM and everyone else that we certainly want full-time employees. And so I don't have the exact number, but we welcome all of them.
Okay. Just wondering if we, knew if any of those came over, that would have been nice, but okay, thank you.
Commissioner Marecki.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So you just named all the places where the sheriffs are, and I'm not even sure what it covers, if it's our charter, if it's state law, if it's court law. What exactly does the county, as far as sheriffs, what do they have to, where do they have to serve? Because I'm sure there's some positions here that are not necessarily needed. It's great to have a sheriff there, but what do we exactly have to do with sheriffs?
So primarily the sheriff is required to staff the jail. I'm sorry, primarily staff the jail, and he's also statutorily required to staff the court as directed by the chief judge.
Okay, so.
May I also add secondary roads?
Secondary roads.
Thank you.
And that is a
Yes.
requirement?
Yes, mandated
Yes.
requirement. Thank you.
So it's nice to have the sheriffs in all these other places. It's great, but it's not required by statutory law or.
Well, so the places that I mentioned, the hospitals and the nursing homes, we are required, once they are remanded to the jail, to secure them. And so that is why I am staffing officers at the hospital and at the nursing homes.
Those are.
Those are inmates, prisoners.
So it's not security for the hospital, it's for, yeah.
Inmates in our custody. That's what he's referring to.
Right, and I was thinking more of the other departments, which I'm not saying it shouldn't be done. I'm just asking what is
You're
needed.
talking about the treasurer and the
Yeah,
clerk's office.
Oh,
We're talking about all the
Oh.
other areas that we do have sheriffs there. And I understand why, don't get me wrong, but our first priority has to be the ones that we're required to have staffing at the court and the
correct.
jails.
Yes, ma'am.
And no, let me say this, and they have been pulling people from sworn officers from there. I've been getting phone calls, complaints from the treasurer's office. It's really, so they are mindful of what their mandated
Okay.
job is. Yes.
Yeah, and again,
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything like that. I just want to know what our priorities have to be. So, okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay, and let's see, Commissioner Baydun. Yes.
Just a final follow-up, Chief Judge, has there been any major incident during the past year with this allied security in the court system? Would you say, has there been anything that stands in your mind?
No, not major, but there are always issues. Some of the complaints are that, if you've been in a courtroom for 10 years as a deputy and you've seen what is likely to happen, you're much more prepared to deal with it. For instance, there's a minor complaint that they can become major, that one of the allied officers was not discreet enough in asking someone to put away their phone. And so you should have your phone put away and you should not be taking any video in court, although people are allowed to have their phone on them. And so in this instance that comes to mind, that allied officer made it so public that it could have and potentially affected the jury, because they felt like they could have been videotaped and it might affect them. And so the judge had to give a special instruction about that, and it ended up working out all right, and they continued with the trial. But that person who was using the phone was sanctioned, and I think the allied officer was instructed on a different way so that it doesn't bring attention to the jury of something that could taint them. So, I mean, it's just the usual kinds of things that I think the Sheriff's Department has a lot more historic training in, but that with the help of course, the Sheriff's Department, Chief Dunlap and Allied, they're trying to work on alleviating those type of problems for the time being.
Thank you. Okay, any additional questions from commissioners? Well, I would like to thank all of you all for joining us today, and I appreciate more so throughout this past year, you all periodically keeping us updated. So is a lot of the information is you're presenting today is just basically important information for us to deliver today. But you all have been keeping us informed throughout the years, and I appreciate that. Okay. Thank you.
And we just want to say we very much appreciate all of you, your very great questions and your concern and your support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, at this time for this item, I'll take a motion.
We have a
Okay.
motion by Commissioner Mareki and support by Commissioner Baker McCormick.
Okay, it's been moved and supported. Okay, so at this point, we can vote in. Chair votes yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda.
Moving to item 7, discussion regarding the status of the employee compensation study.
Yeah, that's so.
Good morning, afternoon, I should say.
Good afternoon.
Yes, state your name for the record.
Janelle Allen, Chief Operating Officer with Wayne County Executive's Office. Donna Wilson, Human Resources Director, Wayne County.
Thank you both for joining us this afternoon. Just a little perspective. A few years ago, approximately 4 years ago, there was an earnest conversations between the administration, specifically the executive, as it relates to compensation of employees. We absolutely understand the collective bargaining process. And so that those positions based upon negotiations are worked out. We're here today because as we were talking about in the past, a compensation schedule, a compensation associated with the classifications for non-union and executive of sort appointee level positions. There was a study that was supposed to have been done. And so I'm just trying to this morning find out the status of that, because status of that first and foremost. We'll start there.
Well, I was here to discuss what we actually did for the representative staff, but I'll let Donna then discuss for the non-representative staff, and you're saying the appointed staff.
Okay, yeah, so I'm looking for the appointed staff. So this is fine. We'll briefly discuss this, but the intent, and I'm not sure if it was clear, is to understand and get a minimum, maximum schedule, or whatever you all have determined for appointed executive. Those who receive participate in the executive plan.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yes, so through the chair, we basically have the same approach for appointed staff. We do a market analysis when we look at hiring new appointed, establishing new classifications. And that market analysis is through pay factors or pay scales, the same vendor we use through collective bargaining or collaborative bargaining.
Okay.
And using the market analysis, then we look at what can the county offer to pay? As County Executive Evans has stated, he believes and supports, market wages, but he cannot, subject or have the county's financial position become in jeopardy. So we use those same analysis, and then that's how offers are made for appointed staff. Now, you referred to the pay plan, and our pay plan had not been calibrated in over 30 years. And so through these market analysis, through collaborative bargaining and appointed staff, we are developing the pay plan and have implemented an interim plan to assist the HR liaisons and the HR business partners with the hiring process. So job offers and information is updated in that interim plan. We have not fully published the plan because in any interim, we want to make sure that we don't have any oversights or any errors. So we're asking individuals to use the plan through the interim process, and then eventually we will publish once we are able to add all the new job classifications and calibrations. Through collaborative bargaining, we've addressed about 800 some classifications, and those had to be added to the pay plan and or changed and updated. And I think Janelle is going to talk about the collaborative bargaining and how the career progressions and new titles.
Okay, so what I'm asking before we go into the the collaborative bargaining progress there. So I know it's a tentative plan. I want to ask, as it relates to the appointee and the those who participate in the executive plan, those titles and all those positions, when will that permanent recommendation, because so I'm looking to have us move on something to codify in ordinance, which that whether we modify it, change it each year, recommendation, but that we look towards the administration to make recommendations on an annual basis if necessary or as determined. We want to codify it. So whatever the plan is, temporary or otherwise, bring it forward so that we can codify it where it's in an ordinance and we absolutely know. And then if you annually want to make the changes, then just, request those modifications. But we want to create a structure. And so that's what I would like to see. And we can move that off based upon the timeline that you tell me this morning or this afternoon, when you would be seeing concluding that.
And if I may just add, this is about the appointed staff as well, but a key part of doing the market analysis, you have to first determine and define the right jobs. And this is what we did on the collaborative bargaining side. So we did what we call right sizing, and not right sizing in the traditional sense of trying to cut positions, but right sizing in the sense of determining what is the right job. We found that as old and antiquated as our pay plan were a lot of our job descriptions, and they do not reflect what the work that needs to be done today to meet the county's needs and to be at our best. So that's one of the first components, is that all of the job descriptions must be updated. We have to do that by working with each of the departments, the elected offices, so it's accurately reflected. You then, as part of the job description, need the right talent, meaning defining what minimum qualifications, experience, skills are needed to do the right job. Then we take that information to determine the right market salary so we can go compare to the market or similar jobs in the market. That is, as you can imagine, just a massive, massive effort. We have done a bulk of that during our collaborative bargaining for the represented, which is the bulk of the work. That has taken 2 years. So I know that with Donna, as far as with we're now, we are focusing on, we also have, I don't know if you know, under the General Administration Association, GAA, there's a group called GAA Executive Service, which are actually they're treated in the sense of an appointee. Meaning, and they are included in the executive benefit plan. They are not identical to a traditional appointee, but they are included there. So we are actually there now too, as far as doing this right sizing, because they'll be a part of this pay plan. And then we are moving on, and we are taking it kind of as a case-by-case basis, because we do know, in particular, our elected offices, our departments, they need to keep moving while we're building this plane, if you will.
Okay.
So it's compelling, it's kind of piecemeal right now, but when we are getting these requests in now, we're doing what we're saying, updating the job description, the qualifications, and then doing an appropriate market analysis.
Okay, based on just listening to you, and as well as just own experience, I'm going to basically set a 90-day clock for us to have the conversation again about this. So I'll set a 90-day on that part. And so staff, make a note that we 90 days. Okay, in regards to that, we will now go to the collaborative bargaining, the status as relates to that. Yeah.
Okay, and as I've explained about the right sizing, that I know we've all talked about an employee compensation study, which was to encompass all classifications, appointed as well as those that are represented. We handled the represented, we're doing that through the collaborative bargaining process. But again, in the past, and how we dealt with wages was what I call bartering. That one side was trying to get as much as they could get to get a deal, the other was giving as little. This, we didn't take that approach. We didn't take it like we're adversaries. We're taking like we are one team, we have one staff, our Wayne County staff. So we came together and we had members, we had team groups of various staff across the county. And this was engaged in by every executive department, every elected office, because we all are Wayne County staff. We then formed teams that actually who know how to do the work, meaning frontline staff performing the work, supervisors, managers, leaders who are overseeing the work. All got together to then determine what should the jobs be. That goes back to what are the right jobs. We found that there were a number of classifications that were used in various areas, meaning different departments, elected offices, and there were different jobs. One example I will share is what are called social service specialists. The social service specialists we had over in our Veterans Division. They're the staff who actually interact with the constituents, the veterans coming seeking assistance. They're the ones who apply the criteria to see if they're eligible for monetary support, and then they process it. You also had the same classification for what we now call a victim's advocate, who works over in the prosecutor's office and who work in the clerk's office. These are exactly what the title says. They are there right beside a victim of a crime to usher and support them through the entire criminal process. You need very different skill sets to do both of those jobs. They were called the same thing, paid the same thing. If you look on our analysis here, it ended up being that social service specialist is still one in veterans, but now over in the clerk's office, prosecutor office, they are victims advocates. We had a similar situation over in the public health division. They were also called social service specialists. They are now called disease intervention specialists, very reflective of the work they do. Again, you need different credentials. We're able to go to the market and then align the salaries with the actual jobs. The listing that you all, hopefully I think has been shared with you, Terrence, I don't know if you were able to send that out, what I sent the last time. This is reflective of all of our non-supervisory classifications in the county. They're represented by ASME non-supervisory bargaining groups. It includes our locals 25, 101, and 1659. There is another group called Local 409. They represent employees only who work at the juvenile detention facility, they are on a separate schedule, but it will mirror this. But this is what we're doing, and ultimately we'll have for the appointed staff as well, for each of those classifications. But again, because the appointed, some of those classifications are somewhat widely different credentials, same classification, same salary.
But I would understand, and when you talk about on the executive side and appointee side, having some of those general sort of classifications because of the bandwidth of what you want to have the ability to fill certain positions based on need within the, appointee group.
Classic, yes.
Mhm.
And our goal, though, is to minimize internal disparity.
Right.
What we have found is, again, that you could have someone with a higher set of credentials, more complex work, maybe in a lower classification with a lower salary than a
Oh,
colleague.
I hear about
And
it.
that's exactly, so a lot of this was really designed, one, of course, for us to be competitive with the external market outside of Wayne County, but also to have more alignment and internal parity, regardless of where you work and what your work
So
is.
also just keep in mind that there's something that the chair and I have been talking about. Even, that's why this ordinance is going to be very important because it's going to be across the board where we can relate all positions, even though it's not a situation that we're mandated by as the legislative branch, but we intend on taking a look at what you all bring forward as well. Yeah.
Understood.
Just to add, and this approach is a holistic approach to all county classifications and, reflection of roles and responsibilities instead of just isolated. And that's how you get that internal disparity because it was never looked at holistically.
Yeah. So, well, look, you did an enormous job. I remember when I first came in the commission, and it was just all over the place as far as where we were going to go with these salaries and losing people, and the unions were complaining. And definitely thank you both and the team that you pulled together in addressing this. And so we're looking forward, like I said, to continue the discussion. So the appointee level and the descriptions as well as the schedule for those positions, definitely want to. We'll come back in 90 days to be status of moving an ordinance forward. Okay, Mr. Commissioner Anderson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to ask how you approached issues like, I noticed sign painter. Do we really have any sign painters anymore?
We do.
And even in the day of when they use machinery to cut signs basically, or appliques that they just stick onto a sign or a board.
Yeah, so that's a great example to show how the world has changed, the industry, the work has changed. We updated the job description because there still are some functions that are done. It's just done through different techniques with different procedures. And then we aligned that with the external market about what do you pay for a sign painter? It may be called something a little different elsewhere, but that's exactly what we're saying, that we had to update. You need a different skill set to be in that position, that classification today, than we'll say a decade and certainly 2 decades ago. But yes, we do have sign.
So give me an example of where there's sign painters.
There's over in the Department of Public Services.
And they
That's
don't.
the only, I believe that is the only area where we have sign
Okay.
painter.
Okay.
Yes. And while they may not be, as you're envisioning, just picturing, the word probably does entail, as you're saying, with the higher level of technology, but they still chose to call them sign painter.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Commissioner Baker McCormick?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I too appreciate you and the work that you're doing here because there was a need. And one of the questions though, as we right size the salaries, have you looked at how it's gonna impact the budget? And what is the difference? Like, what's the difference in the salary? What will this actually, how will it impact and what amount, at what amount? Yes.
Thank you for that question
Mhm.
because
our management and budget team was a key part of this. And what we've said that with our members, when we're out there coming up with these, we said it must be affordable. So one key component is that everything that was done, when the teams came up with what they proposed as market rates, this went through our management and budget team.
Okay.
And it actually they did their own analysis of the cost, including the benefits, the benefit factor, and to say that this to be sustainable, this is just not for one contract period, if you will.
Exactly.
And then it actually had to be signed off by the CFO, and this was for every one of these salary adjustments.
Great, great. And so do we look at the overall impact? Do we have like a number? Was it, $20 million difference? What was the difference?
I know the management and budget team has that information.
Okay, you don't have.
That's
I
a
don't
whole
want to give
nother
the wrong
conversation.
number.
Right.
Okay, I
number,
would
but
like
yes,
to
I know they absolutely do have
Because
that
that's
information.
important.
Yes.
Even if we're trying to right-size it, if we can't afford it, then, I mean,
Absolutely. I would say this, even in our collaborative bargaining, that was so instilled in our discussions, if you will. So some of our union members would even come in and say, can we afford it? Can we afford it?
Yeah.
Because what everyone did agree is that we don't want to have to go backwards.
Exactly.
So whatever we do, it must be sustainable.
great. And as far as the degree requirement, that probably changed and as the description changed, would you say? And did we lower the threshold in a lot of cases?
So
Or specialization, certificates, things of that nature, rather than just, a bachelor's degree or master's degree? Did we-
it really depended on the classification, and that's what we drilled down to the most granular level. And that with the example I gave with the social service specialist, there are different now degree requirements. For a victim's advocate, you must have a bachelor's degree by state law. But over in the veterans area, when you're first entering, you don't. So we were able to have it, you can come in with an associate's degree, but you can progress if you have a bachelor's and be paid at a higher level.
Right.
So we actually did analyze it by classification.
Great, great. Well, great job. I know that's a lot of work, but it was definitely needed to get us right size. So thank you.
And if I may, just to recognize again, our entire team, we literally had members from every executive department, every elected office who have participated in this. This is truly, truly has been a team effort. And I think just a phenomenal example of one Wayne County here and us all working, collaborating together. And so a couple of our members are in the audience, but everyone else there to thank you that we could not have done it if this had not been a real cohesive team working together.
Well, I want to thank you again for all the work that you do and also for joining us this afternoon, and looking forward to the continued great work that you are doing on this issue.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, next item.
Moving back to the top of the agenda, item 1, forwarding the preliminary state equalization report for the 2025 tax year.
We'll take the remainder items, any action items, we'll take the action at the end of the meeting for the record. Okay, next item, any questions associated with this item? Any questions? Well, Scott, thank you for your work in this entire process. Did you, I'll call you forward and ask, is there anything that you want to highlight as it relates to this communication, which we all received it earlier this week, I believe? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Scott Van Mergel, Director of Assessment and Equalization for Wayne County. Thank you for engaging the Equalization Department to be your technical advisor for preparation of county equalized value recommendations, which is, you're obviously aware, the full board approved on May 1st. This is the next step and final step, what the state is putting forth for the state equalization process. So local assessors prepare their assessment roles and assess values. You all come into play for the determination of county equalized values. And then the state, I won't say rubber stamp because that's not correct. The state reviews the county's work and passes over it with approval to finalize the values.
I thank you for, since I've been on this commission the past 4 years, each year, you've highlighted the importance of this, and that it's not necessary, it's not rubber stamping, but this is a very important role, even though it passes very quickly. But I thank you for always making yourself available to answer questions as well.
Yes, sir. It's my pleasure.
Thank you. Any questions? Any questions? Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Next item, Madam Clerk.
Item 2, communication from the Department of Management and Budget forwarding the first quarter financial report for fiscal year 2024-25.
Okay, wait.
Good afternoon. Yogesh Kisani, Deputy Chief Financial Officer, Management Budget.
Okay. Who's joining you?
Greg McIntyre, Deputy Budget Director, Management and Budget.
Okay, this is very important. We did meet a month or so ago about these reports being brought in or being submitted in a timely fashion to address the concerns that we met about, and that was the closing out the fiscal year and some of the issues that were associated with that. And so us receiving this is a start. A good move in the right direction, I should say. How are you receiving the appropriate and necessary information from the respective departments, particularly the elected departments, in allowing you to complete these reports?
So, Commissioner, at this point, again, I'm filling in for our Director of Financial Reporting and Analysis. So this is the first quarter, and I would say our second quarter is almost ready. We are part of the reviewing the second part at this point. I just don't have much more depth in there as far as receiving information from, but I would say from the general ledger side, since we take care of his financial reporting division. And just to share a good news, we are about to wrap up our audit, which was an extended. So pretty much we got the opinion date as of yesterday, and we're just trying to work through filing to the state and so forth. So,
Okay.
so anyway, that's the almost last 2 to 3 months that me and my team were constantly working day and night. So, but our other team, I would say almost the second quarter, which is January, February, March, is almost, we are trying to wrap up that too.
Okay.
And we'll try to meet again, whatever the statutory deadline,
Okay.
if we do.
Okay, thank you. And so we were also asking, when we had that meeting, we were talking about even the monthlies. How are those flowing with you all?
So as far as monthly closings, we do have our, whatever our monthly schedule is,
Right.
like a 10th business day or
Right.
7th
Some-
business day. We do follow up that one. Now, having said that, some of the transactions, let's say cash file from other elected offices for some other reason is late, we just do go open and just post it. And certain aspects is because, as you know, we are going through a system implementation.
Right, correct.
In our side, as well as other offices too. So there are some challenges in that one. But I would say overall, yes, I do not believe there's too much of delay. And it could be 2 days or 3 days when we hear and say, hey, we're trying to finish this one. Can you wait for a day or two? We try to accommodate. But overall, we are trying to comply with our closing schedule.
And we do not want to become lax as we did, and things, got too far behind. So thank you all for keeping the pressure there, and our staff, working with commission staff and meeting this. Okay, so with that, I would like to ask, are there any questions from commissioners? Any questions? Thank you, and keep up the timelines.
Thank you very much. Appreciate all your support.
Oh, no, the second part, you said that, repeat what you stated.
I said second quarter, we are almost working and we are almost ready to this. It's part of the review right now going on. Okay. No.
I thought you said something about a deadline or a date that you have to.
No, they say they try to meet the deadlines, that
Meet it,
maybe a
okay.
few days after or whatnot, but they're trying to, still. Yep, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. just to clarify, that's what the separate team is working. So we're just trying to make sure we try to adhere the deadlines now, since there's a separate team, so. Thank you. Thank you for your support.
Thank you both. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Item 3, requesting commission approval of budget adjustment number 2025-35-118, certifying revenue in the county road fund.
Where is it? Yes, thank you. Okay. Yeah, Commissioner Baker McCormick.
I just wanted to clarify how much is in this fund. This is, because we kind of been going back and forth about what funds were available for the county, townships rather, paving projects. Any-
Great.
I believe someone's online from DPS.
Okay, so yes, I want to know who's speaking to this, please? Okay, yeah.
So, good afternoon. This is Steve Shea, Division Director of Roads. I think this question would really need to be answered better by our engineering part.
Okay, folks, at the end of the table, you state your name for the record, please, and
Yeah, this is Sammy. Good afternoon, everyone. Sammy Caldi, Director of Engineering, Highway Engineer.
It's
one.
pressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe move it up a little bit. Yeah.
Is it better now? Okay, Sammy Caldi, Director of Engineering, Highway Engineer.
Michelle Yancey, DPS admin. To answer your question, I believe there is a total of 14 million that is for this specific project.
Okay, do we know how it's going to be divvied up amongst the community, in particular Redford Township? Because we've been kind of going back and forth and trying to figure this out.
It won't be divvied up.
Okay,
We
right.
have,
Yeah, for lack of
I'm sorry.
no, so remember we had conversations in the past, like you
Yes,
had
we
mentioned, right?
did.
Right, no. Continue, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to clarify. Mhm.
Okay, the Chair of Public Service, can you remind, yeah,
Okay.
Commissioner Maraki, did you want to speak to this?
Can I help? I mean,
sure.
so all this information went to the townships. So they have come back to the county, their requests and the matching, right?
Correct.
And they're making a determination now
Yes.
on what's going on.
So it's not divvied up into communities,
Right.
kind of like the park millage is, if that's what you're assuming. It is where we have applications online where the townships can apply, and it's a one-to-one match. So if they submit or are willing or have the $1 million to match our $1 million, then that's how the program is structured.
Right.
But
and
it's not a
Yes, I
allocation.
remember that we had this conversation, I don't know, what, maybe 3-4 months ago about what each community could do or could apply for matching.
Correct.
I was wondering if we have a solid plan for who's getting what.
No, it's
Yeah.
based
Yeah.
upon what they submit. It's a
Right,
total
and
of
I'm
$14 million.
asking, yeah, do we know, do we have a final report on what
No,
the communities have, I guess, submitted as far as their share, what they could match? Do we have any information?
Not at this current time. We are receiving applications. We're going over those applications right now to determine, validity and things like that. And I could let Sammy speak to the engineering
Yeah.
side.
It's great to have this program back, which is started a long time ago. As you know, we have, since we started this program again, we have established some guidelines for these communities. And in these guidelines, we want to partner with the communities, and we had several meetings with each community that's eligible, and we explained the program to them. And I think they are excited to see some money coming back, and a lot of communities almost like ready to go. So what we're waiting right now, the deadline for apply for the permit application has been passed, and we are in the process, of evaluating these applications. Because as you know, the match is one-to-one.
Right.
So hopefully, most of these communities are really excited to see that they can bring the match to the table and start this project. So after this evaluation, we also had follow-up meetings with some of these communities to explain the process to them again and what they need, because each community is a little bit different, honestly. Some communities, they need something, it fits their areas different than another one. So it's like a collaboration with these communities.
Thank you.
But do we have a report to yet say?
Not yet, not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. We don't have
Alright.
that report to determine how much each township has received or will receive. We're still in we just received all the applications. We're digesting them, and then we're gonna go and move forward with which projects we will be utilizing or,
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Marecki and then Commissioner Baydun. Oh, no, did you want Commissioner Clemente, then Commissioner Marecki? Okay.
Yeah, to this particular item, first of all, Terrence, thank you. M&B, DPS, the administration, this is great that we're going to have all that money in there, and because it's going to be used up very quickly, I'm sure, with the townships. So I appreciate all the efforts that went into this and Chair Kinlock. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Clemente. Okay, Commissioner Baydun.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This does not affect my district, but just out of curiosity, what if a township financially, they're not capable of putting money up front for the match? I'm just going to use Baker McCormick's district, for example, and there's a need, let's say, for repavement or whatever she needs in her district. How does that work? Does the priority only apply if you bring money to the table? I'm just curious.
This is a commission initiative that began with the commission. And yes, you absolutely, this is a program. Keep in mind, there's still going to be road work done in all of the communities. This is just one program.
Oh, okay.
One program. And so the first thing we need to do is get the communities who can actually match.
Okay.
Any discussion outside of that would be between the department, because the department's already doing work. They have an overall master plan, but this is just one program, an opportunity to do on top of all the other stuff that
Okay,
they're
so
doing.
this is in addition to what? they're
Absolutely,
planning
whatever's
to do.
already planned.
Okay, thank you.
And if I can recall correctly, that once the $1 million or the people that can come up with the most money, those townships are allocated that. Then there was another round, I believe, that was
will be
coming,
Yes.
that if you can't match $1 million to $1 million, that it will
What
be
level?
reduced to another level where townships can come back and say, hey, well, we can't match at this. And I know the first round of money was already allocated. Here's the second round that we're going for, and possibly.
But
that
there will be match. You have, this
Yes.
program is strictly for communities who are able to match.
Correct.
But then you would work with those communities that couldn't. That was my understanding.
No, not at
not
all.
for this
Not
program.
at all. This money is strictly for communities that can match. Now, there'll be another round where communities would be able to see if they can reach whatever that round determination is. But yeah,
Okay. See, and that's what I was trying to clarify, because when we originally talked about this program, I asked that question over and over
but this is
again.
but we also definitely left the
Would-
table understanding that it would be a match. You asked that question.
I
And we
did,
said
I
it would
did.
have to be a match because it would not be.
Well, the answer was that we would work with those
And
communities
that's the work
that
part, creating
couldn't.
another level. So if
Okay.
we want to creating another level, because this particular money is based upon being able to match. It would not be fair because it's on top of all the additional road work. So we had to create a fair process. And so the process is that you can match at this amount, and then it will come out with another level after everyone has submitted their proposals, matching proposals. Yeah.
Correct.
If I could, thank you, Chairperson Kenlock. Oh, I'm sorry.
Right.
Okay. Thank you very much, Commissioner Wilson. Let me just ask you a quick question in regards to the match. Do we have a delineation in terms of who is prepared to match in terms of their finances versus who's not prepared to match? And if those who are not capable of matching, when will this opportunity be rolled out for them to have an opportunity to have some assistance if they can't match?
So the
Because
deadline
again,
for the.
believe me, coming from a township, I get calls relentlessly. 3 townships, 60,000 people, and that's like 3/4 of my job.
So Mr. Wilson, Commissioner Wilson, I just want to catch the
Yes, sir.
part there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If you can't match, this is not a program. So there'll be different levels of matches that those will be the rounds that will determine the levels. But this is strictly a matching program.
Okay,
Right.
so how many
Period.
do we have that are capable of matching?
Well, we just received the deadline application has passed. So anybody that could match at the higher level, at the 1 to 1 million,
120,
those applications have been received and we're reviewing those.
so we don't know yet.
So we don't know that.
Okay,
Then once that's all, cleared and we know who's getting what and how much money is left over in the pot, then we'll go back out to the communities and say, hey, and that could be the same community. It could be Redford or I can't think of the Canton or something like that says, hey, we have an additional pot of money we want to match as well. So it can go as long as the monies are in the coffer, basically, until it's, re-up by you guys.
okay.
I mean,
Again, just
Correct.
my culminating question, when do you feel, in your estimation, or should I say guesstimation, will this secondary opportunity be rolled out for those townships? Because I have a few of them that's in there flat broke. When would they have an opportunity?
If they are
to-
flat broke,
well,
then this program
I-
is not for them. I'm sorry.
Okay, so even when you
This-
said work with, maybe I shouldn't have said flat. broke.
No, well, no,
That's
it's
like,
a
that's
matching,
like I
but they
was about
cannot
30 years
match.
ago, but maybe not flat broke, but.
If they can't match, then
Okay.
this program isn't for them. Like Commissioner Kenlock said, we are still paving roads and
Right,
townships
right,
and
right, right.
making
Okay, so I understand,
advances.
I understand if they can't match, those individuals that have monies, but they can't match to the ratio that,
We have it's a tier.
Okay,
So
right, I
if
got
they
you.
submit at the higher tier, then we'll see how much money is left over. Once we see how much
Okay,
left over from that first tier round,
uh,
then we'll have it
Another
another
determination.
tier
Yeah.
with a smaller amount, like instead of 1,750,000 or
500,000 or
500,000, we just have to see how much is left. So everybody, it will be an equal playing ground for every township. And it's what, 9 or 11,
Nine-
9 townships?
I think
So
nine.
we
right?
want to make sure that it's equal if we,
Right,
after we reduce, say 5 million or however,
okay,
then that pot of money, if you divide that by the 5, then how much would that?
okay,
And
Yes.
then we also will be having discussions based upon how much money has been utilized during the budget process, if there will be some more money this fiscal year added, or just taking another look next fiscal year, depending upon the responses.
Correct.
okay, because just my final, exponentially expensive to pave roads.
It is, because you need to
it's-
design
I mean,
first,
7 million
then you need
bucks
the
or
construction.
14 million, whatever it is, that's like a drop in the bucket. So
Yeah.
you say you're gonna have some money left, you think? I mean, I don't
know.
I don't see how, but anyway, I appreciate your
Yes.
explanation. Thank you. I'm satisfied.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yes,
you.
Commissioner Anderson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to ask, what happens when we're talking about $14 million right now, right? And 7 is going to be obligated by this action. So when the wealthier communities have that extra money, what's going to be left for, is it going to be a matter of whether or not there's money available next year?
So we don't- so-
That 14 million is spent.
So if the 14 million is spent, then that's our job in working with the county executive and determining whether or not we're going to budget more money into it. All of the 14 million, I don't believe will be spent based on the plans. That we got to wait for them to look at who has submitted what. But if there is some money left over, then we'll have a conversation about that. We've been talking to the department. It is our intention more so to just see how the communities respond to this first round, and then we'll be able to determine what next steps should be. Yeah.
That's
That's
what
correct.
I was thinking.
Yeah, yeah.
Chair Kinlock, so just quickly, the maximum appears to be 2 million, 1 million plus $1 million match. Is that?
For the first round, yes, it's a
Okay.
million. yes.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
And they can utilize us as well. So they don't have to have a construction company, you know, roads that will be able to pave.
I will make that clear.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Thank
So they would just have to have the design plans to
Okay.
have it for it to be ready for us to do the paving.
Okay. Any additional questions? I know this is important for folks who have townships in their district, so yes, any additional questions? Okay, well, thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Moving down to item 5, requesting commission approval of a resolution to levy Wayne County's operating millage rate upon the 2025 summer tax rolls.
Any questions associated with this item? Any questions? Madam Clerk, next item.
We need a motion to receive
Okay.
and file items 1 and 2 and approve items 3 and 5.
A motion is in order. Okay, Madam Clerk, using tablets.
Yes.
Okay, who made the motion?
Commissioner Clemente made a motion and supported by Commissioner Baydun.
Please vote. Chair votes yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda.
Item 6, an update from the Department of Management and Budget regarding the budget preparation process / schedule for the fiscal year 2025-26 budget as it coincides with the Wayne County Charter.
Prerogative of the chair, I want to move this to the next agenda and without objection. Okay, thank you. We'll move this to the next meeting. Thank you. Next item, Madam Clerk.
F, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
I know of none. Next item.
G, public comments.
At this time, Madam Clerk, I would like you to open up the microphones, and for those who are joining us by Zoom or by telephone, please raise your hand or signify that you would like to address this committee. Madam Clerk, are there any hands raised, and were there any communications received by the clerk's office?
No emails were received and there are no hands raised on Zoom.
I'd like to ask if there anyone present who would like to address this committee? Anyone present who would like to address this committee? Public comment is closed. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Adjournment.
Motion is in order. It's been moved